marketing mix for B2B and as well as for B2C companies should be as wide as possible, where each tool you use really contributes to your goals in its own way. So, of course, you don't need to have, millions of tools and millions of channels, because that's a waste of resource. And it's always a matter, of course, of dedication and resource allocation.
This podcast is sponsored by Pragmatic Solutions, the player account management platform chosen by today's smart betting and gaming operators. Don't let technical constraints delay you from achieving your business goals. Expand your business, boost your margins, and dominate the market in any leading regulated jurisdiction with our powerful, flexible, and secure iGaming platform. Enjoy its extensive marketing tools, compliance protection, real-time data, and a wide portfolio of over 1,000 industry providers. It's time to upgrade your technology. Let Pragmatic Solutions show you the modern approach. Visit pragmatic.solutions and join the smart thinkers.
This podcast is brought to you by Pragmatic Play, a leading game developer providing player favorites to the most successful brands across the industry. With an award-winning multi-product portfolio of slots, live casino, bingo, virtual sports, and more, Pragmatic Play is powering up new possibilities of play through one single API. Visit pragmaticplay.com and discover your favorite every time.
Bingo, bango, bongo. We are back here at the Next.io podcast this time today with Oleg, the head of marketing at Playson. How are you doing today, Oleg?
Hi, I'm doing pretty well, so thank you for having me, and it's a great pleasure to be the first time at this podcast, so hopefully this will go well.
Absolutely. I have no doubt, my friend. And it's a great pleasure to have you here, because today we are talking about a topic that is near and dear to my own heart. We are conducting this B2B iGaming marketing special here to talk about B2B marketing specifically. And, the background to this topic is the fact that a couple of years ago, very few companies took B2B marketing serious. You had a couple of shows in the industry, and the B2B marketing teams were very focused on just kind of executing those shows, building a nice stand, and not doing that much more effort. But in recent time, you see B2B companies that are exploding in the industry. B2B marketing has become a huge thing, and it's becoming more complex and more intriguing than it ever has been before. So the time is absolutely perfect to talk about this topic here today. So as a starting point, Oleg, can you give us a brief overview of B2B marketing and how it differs from B2C marketing?
The difference between B2B and B2C marketing from my point of view begins with the goals we want to achieve when we communicate with the client. So, and this in turn, of course, depends on the client's problem that we're and our product is designed to solve. For example, B2C marketing focuses on mainly appealing to the consumer's immediate needs, like personal preferences and desires, and preferably right at the moment they appear. So this often means tapping into emotions, because like all good ads focus on emotions rather than on product characteristics. And we know that in the B2C sector, irrational decisions, they frequently outweigh the rational ones. So here, probably communication should highlight the benefits for the consumer, such as convenience, enjoyment, or status, for example. And B2C marketing is not just about selling the product itself, but rather about selling a new image or a lifestyle that comes with using this product or service. So this is probably actually why video advertising works so well for the B2C sector, providing like more room for creativity and more like sophisticated ways to convey a message. And in contrast, when we discuss B2B marketing, we must keep in mind that we are dealing with various types of decision makers, like both large and small, who are responsible for their businesses. And this like added layer of responsibility, it greatly changes what our clients prioritize. So such things like return on investments, efficiency, performance, and profits, they become the key focus areas. And because of that, we need to shift our priorities and we need to shape our communication to fit those needs. So with that being said, I would stress that besides the obligatory product marketing, one of the main goals of B2B communication is building the company's reputation. Because, reputation, it fosters trust, credibility, which have like tremendous impact on business and decision making. Probably in short, so B2C marketing is about triggering the desire for the product, while B2B marketing is more about building the reputation for the company that stands behind the product. Yes, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a really interesting example to highlight that in the B2C sphere is how Apple didn't focus on the megahertz and the details of the product specs of their product. They focused on the lifestyle and the image behind the brand and infusing that into the product. They celebrated in innovative, different thinkers, let's say, in their marketing in order to trigger that emotional response, whereas Microsoft at the same time were all about the specs and the details, right? And obviously, as we know, Apple won that battle, at least in that arena at that time. Whereas you're saying in the B2B world, the opposite is true, kind of thing, where it does become much more about the megahertz and the details and so on in order to make the best business decision. That's what we are saying, right?
Yeah, you're precisely correct. So Microsoft is mostly focused on B2B because there's the biggest part of their budgets coming from B2B businesses and the subscriptions they have to their various services, whereas Apple is strictly like B2C focused brand, and in their values, in their mission, they state that they want to, expand the creativity of humankind. So this is a very strong statement that people can connect to.
Yeah. And it just highlights, it goes to show how it's not about only the best computer where people make a decision when they buy a computer. It is about, the brand, the image and what it stands for and the emotions that are being triggered. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the key trends that you are seeing in B2B marketing in 2024 and how has B2B marketing changed over time?
Mm-hmm. In terms of trends, I hope there is no need to talk about, video and mobile first approach once again, because it's not even a trend anymore. It's rather a necessity for every business. But what I would say is, in general, I feel that more and more industries are starting to realize the value behind having a B2B marketing strategy that expands, somehow beyond email sendouts and call centers. As well as the value to have brand marketing in addition to product marketing activities. Of course, a logotype and a slogan is not what it's all about, but it's a start, and it's nice that more and more business owners maybe even begin to think about such things. A trend or not, I am very happy about it. So actually a healthy growth of interest to B2B marketing is happening right now across various industries, and that's a good thing, and I hope that it will continue further. Maybe one other thing to highlight is the growing importance of more people-centric approach to B2B marketing. Because, everybody knows that at the core of every business are people. So these are decision makers, innovators, the leaders who drive the company forward. And acknowledging this human element allows businesses to foster those deeper, more meaningful connections with their partners and clients. And when you highlight, the expertise the passion, the values of your team, it makes your business more relatable and trustworthy. And it also gives the audience like a clearer understanding of the people they will be working with, which is often a deciding factor in long-term business relationships. And also in B2B world, partnerships are formed like based not only on the strength of your product or service, but also on the confidence in the people who run the show. So this people-centric strategy can be used across various marketing channels through thought leadership, articles, webinars, video interviews with your team members. So all of these can help demonstrate your company's expertise and build your brand reputation as an authority in your industry, which is also, I believe, very useful, for your employer brand, because people want to work with great people as well. So this is works in both ways. And maybe one thing that I can mention as well is personalization, because well, in general, personalization is, it wasn't easy from the beginning, and now it is even more limited by GDPR policies. And we can, of course, understand all the benefits of having this personal approach to communication and tailoring messages to your client needs and preferences. And in case of some B2B businesses, this personalized marketing can have a different form. So it's not uncommon, to have the direct touch points with your potential clients through email, conferences, social media, or even you can know them personally. So the way to build more meaningful connections here is, to treat these large potential clients as separate markets, even, including research and investing time and effort to adapt your offering to the specific needs. So, when you do this important step of entering some big new geo or some new jurisdiction, you do a lot of preparation. I think the same approach can come with treating your potential clients. And of course, helping the account management and sales team with some tailored materials and engaging content is also one of the tasks, of the marketing team. So providing all these necessary tools that can help with communicating and be more close to the client needs and what they are used to. So I would definitely consider available options to be, as relevant to your partners as possible on the level that you can reach.
It's very interesting, Oleg. I feel like the red thread here through these trends is building trust in front of the clients, right? Where you talk about the personalization and to come with a personalized approach. It shows to the client that you have done your research, you have put time and effort into this, and you're here to speak and you're here to understand that particular client, right? That this is a big trust signal, of course, and
this is a big, difference between also B2B and B2C sector, because in B2C usually you have, in a good case, millions of potential clients, which are people in general, whereas B2B you have, specific narrow target audience that you need to reach, and as I said, in a lot of cases, those people by name. So this makes a great difference and great opportunity, to be as relevant as possible to those people when you know them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think as well, as an extension to that, as a great B2B marketer, I think you have to understand as well that within any given company, we live in kind of a bubble within our organization where we know everything about our product and we know everything how great it is. And sometimes we overestimate how much the market knows about us. This happens. So true. Let's say it happens a lot with our events, for example, in the conference world, where there's an assumption often within our team that when people walk through the door, they know exactly what's going on. They know what tracks are happening there, which exhibitors are. But we always say internally, guys, remember, think about our delegates as Martians. It's the first time they come to Earth. What information do we need to present to them in order for this conference to make sense for them? Because they have no idea what is happening within this space. We have to assume that, right? Even if we know everything and we have promoted and marketed, and I think that translates a lot into your world as well. Because in the game development world, we have some really big and solidified brands in the European market, like Playson, like other brands as well. And a good case study is when the North American market opened up, and many of the game providers in Europe sailed the ship over to the US, and they just assumed that their games would perform really well, and the uptake of the operators would be really great. But they ran into the harsh reality of the fact that the North American operators had no idea who they were. They didn't know who they were, and they knew their North American game suppliers really well. But these like really big European brands, they were like beginners over there. So they had to remind themselves that they are operating in a new territory. And as you say, not just fall back on their history over in Europe, but actually be humble enough to understand that they need to start from scratch there. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, right? Just to remind yourself that, you know much more than the client does, and much more, and the client knows much less about you than you think that they know about you, right?
Yep, I completely agree. Yeah.
So there's also another question too. So we talk a little bit about like the division between, you as a brand marketer focus a lot on brand building, which is like a long-term strategy. But also a central part to your job is the lead generation, of course, to actually produce sales. And so I want to ask you, Oleg, how do you balance that long-term brand building with the short-term lead generation strategies?
Mm-hmm. From my point of view, again, so I believe it's not even about balance. It's more about the synergy of those things. And I would argue that, brand building should be a part of every communication you have, be it lead generation, product advertisement, or a simple press release. So usually when I plan our annual communication, I create a sort of a matrix of all brand messages we want to deliver on one hand, and all the communication tools and channels we usually use during the year on the other, including all those product advertisements, exhibitions, CRM, and others. So then I just find the perfect match between the two, so that we have all the important messages evenly covered and appearing on as multiple occasions as possible. Because, as you said, brand building is a long process by itself, and there is no reason to make it even longer by separating, from other types of communications that you have. Because in most of cases, the most frequent types of communication you have will be about your product. And, missing the opportunity to talk about your brand inside those communications is like a waste of, I believe in a way, even a waste of time, because, you, again, as you said, you need a lot of time to build up your brand.
Brilliant. And moving forward here as well, would you say that are there any marketing tools or platforms that you consider essential for a successful B2B strategy? Are you very tool based, or do you think more creatively? Are there any tools that help you in your day-to-day work?
Again, my strong opinion is that the marketing mix for B2B and as well as for B2C companies should be as wide as possible, where each tool you use really contributes to your goals in its own way. So, of course, you don't need to have, millions of tools and millions of channels, because that's a waste of resource. And it's always a matter, of course, of dedication and resource allocation. So, for example, if you don't have enough resources to create a constant flow of vibrant and engaging content, don't create Instagram or TikTok accounts. So, because they will just simply won't work. And it's as simple as that. Yet, of course, there are some must-haves, in my opinion, that every company should use in B2B. These are, of course, email marketing, because that's the direct touch point with your audience. It's a complex one, and it requires a lot of work in terms of analytics, in terms of building relevant content that your audience will read, and of course, segmenting your audience by interest, because you cannot send everything to everyone and expect them to be engaged. Of course, it's LinkedIn, because nobody works without LinkedIn. This is the place to be, and this is a very again useful tool, for closer communication with people you are interested to gain partnerships with. Even not, with this direct communication, like, hey, let's make a business together. But, just reading through their content, understanding what they value, finding some relevant touch points that you are also interested in. These simple conversations then come naturally, and they naturally also can transfer to something bigger and even into some big partnerships. Of course, such things like publications, ads, and some joint projects with prominent media in the industry, such as your own.
There we go. That's what I was fishing for. That's what sounded interesting. Thank you.
Those things are necessary, and these things, from my opinion, again, they are the best way to build up your reputation. Because, when some media that has respect, that has credibility in the iGaming industry, it writes something about you, or you have some combined projects, this, helps both brands to escalate and to be more prominent in the eyes of the industry. And of course, we cannot forget about conferences and exhibitions. This is the way where people where people know about you first, you gain awareness, you gain first contacts, and this visibility on exhibitions is pretty important. You may not, from the first year, gain this a lot of first contacts, or a lot of clients, or a lot of leads, but still, as you're present from year to year on different exhibitions and conferences, your brand name, your logo, your colors, some people from your team, they start, to emerge into this society, maybe we'll call it that, and you become noticeable up to the point where people start to gain interested in your company. And these channels, they are flexible enough in terms of budgets and scalable as your company grows, so you have more budgets to grow your presence. So you can start small and then grow bigger and bigger and bigger with time. So you don't need to, just go to the conference and boom, 200 millions in the first day. You can go gradually to what you need.
Yeah. It feels like in the last couple of years that the B2B side of the industry is becoming more and more aggressive. It's almost like everyone is trying to one-up themselves. And for example, I was in Budapest last week for SoftBet's client party, and they really kind of took things to the next level. They gave out like 88,000 euro as a raffle, big castle parties on. And it feels every year the level is increasing. Do you feel that pressure as well as a marketer to every year, have to respond to the fact that, the competition is getting fiercer?
Well, it's also like my strong opinion that you don't have to, be the biggest fish in the pool. So every time you try to beat someone, to be bigger, or to be more loud, or to be more prominent, or to, speak louder than everyone else, there's always going to be someone bigger. So this is a never-ending game, and this is a never-ending game also in terms of budgets, So I think you need to understand what your audience values in your company, in your brand, and try to work with that and with the people that are closest to you. So I think you need to find a balance here that you may not be, this party thrower for the whole day industry, but you can be more meaningful with the closest contacts that you have and the closest partners that you have, and build up this more close relationship, even on some smaller events. That also can have great impact on your future business, because like this word of mouth is one of the strongest marketing tools that you can have, and if you have great relationships with some people in the industry, this can surprisingly bring even more new contacts than having a big marketing campaign or a big party or a big celebration at your venue on the exhibition.
True, and the word of mouth is certainly the most important marketing strategy ever, because this is someone else who is confirming the great product that you have. Is that something you think about? I can just give you one example that, from our side again, is that whenever we do brand marketing for our events, that's great, we should do it. But the most powerful part of our strategy is when other people share that they are attending our events, right? So that becomes like a bit of a FOMO effect, where it becomes like a snowball effect. And so our job internally is a lot about making sure and allowing people to post as much as they can that they are attending our show, and that becomes the snowball effect. Do you think anything similarly in your side of the fence as it comes to word of mouth marketing?
Well, yeah, sure. We would, of course, like to produce the content that our, contacts would share on their own social media or speak about. So I understand that it's pretty hard to do because, all of the noise that's happening in social media and in PR and etc. So being relevant to the audience is very important. And sometimes, you can do some effort and it will not pay off, but it's not a reason to stop, because once again, we understand that everyone is very busy, and the social network, this posts, they keep coming and coming and coming and coming, and you can be just overwhelmed. But still, I believe that having a good content strategy and communicating with your partners through social media, even just by tagging someone, sharing some great news with your partners, that is a key to increasing your non-paid presence in the media. Yeah, so of course, communicating with partners and potential partners is very crucial for the brand.
Brilliant, Oleg. What about AI in B2B marketing? We are undergoing this massive AI revolution at the moment. We're living in it, so sometimes we don't notice how quick things are actually happening. But are you paying attention to AI, and do you implementing AI in your B2B strategies?
Well, you cannot skip the AI because it's now everywhere. AI. All those presentations of Google, of Apple recently is also dedicated mostly to AI. So yeah, this is something that is overwhelming also the internet. But in terms of marketing, there are like two sides of things. So I think we can first close the topic of AI generated content, because that will be short. So the fun thing with AI is if you use it the right way, the audience probably won't be able to tell the difference. Because, content creators use it as a way to do things faster and more efficient, but never letting the AI decide what's best for your brand. So the ownership should remain on human side, period. And I think that covers what is the AI-generated content about. But if we talk about other applications for marketing, I am personally very cautious about any software or service using AI, especially when we talk about building your marketing strategy based on AI-gathered data. So any artificial intelligence and every generative model must learn on something. And in many cases, the source of this learning is nothing else than the World Wide Web. And we, just only started to educate people to be critical about the information they find on the web, and to always double check the sources. And the same should apply to AI data. And in most cases, when some potential technological partner says, "Hey, we use AI," it's usually a black box that does something that even the sales managers cannot explain. But I would like to know how it works, what are the sources, and how reliable is the data that I am using. So with that being said, I cannot state that I am, adopting AI to my marketing strategy. Well, not yet, at least until I am certain that the quality and the reliability of this provided data is like up to the standard. Yeah, but but when we talk about day-to-day marketing, it's another thing, like creating more vibrant copies faster, creating references for designs, preparing materials for exhibitions. Well, like in all these cases, AI tools are more than helpful. Helpful. And there is like no harm in using them as much as you can to make your life easier. But again, like remember who's in charge of the result. Yeah.
The human.
Yeah, of course.
What are some common mistakes that you see that companies are making in their B2B marketing efforts?
I think, I already talked a lot about brand marketing, and I think I will talk about it again here. So I think the most common mistake is skipping the part where you actually define your brand strategy. I mean, like brand positioning, distinctive value proposition, brand character, together with some visual and verbal identity, the key message or messages of the brand, and so on. So these things, they are not just a PDF presentation to be left lying around somewhere on Google Drive. It's a compass that will guide you whenever you have a decision to make. So which channels to use, which media to partner with, how your stand should look like at the exhibition, what you should say in your quote in a PR publication. So without such guide, the only judgment you can rely on is your own. And in this case, what if you are the leader of your marketing team? They cannot just, get inside your head and know exactly what you want them to produce. Or, for example, if there are several stakeholders with different opinions, so how do you decide who is right? So this predefined strategy gives most of the answers, or at least it shows you some right direction to move. And to be able to have this consistent, distinctive, and noticeable communication, the first step is to define who or what you are and what you want your audience to learn about you. So I think this is the part that is skipped in a lot of cases because it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of resources, and it's not directly business related, so you always postpone it because you have some more urgent things to do. But from my point of view, just doing this thing one time per several years, it's more than enough. And you have this guide that will relieve you from a lot of wasted time just figuring out are you doing the things right or the wrong way.
Brilliant. And so if you summarize all these thoughts and strategies and fall pits to avoid, how do you implement these strategies in Playson, where you are the head of marketing?
Well, it's a rather good time, to ask this question because if you visit our social media, you will see that we have launched a new communication and new slogan, Get More, which will be followed by a fresh visual style. So you can probably witness the implementation firsthand. Well, in general, Playson now is a well-established supplier on the international market. So we're recognized and valued for skill, knowledge, and dedication. And now it's time for our marketing efforts, to resemble this. So our new slogan was created to encapsulate the essence of what Playson stands for. and the exceptional experiences we offer today. And it helps, to reveal this added value behind every product and service at Playson. So whether it's like game development or technology or compliance or our relations with partners. And we've been talking about the importance of preparation, and defining what your brand stands for prior the communication itself. So this is exactly what was going on during like the last 3 months or so. We had brainstorms about our values, about unique selling points, our character, our culture, approach to business, and of course, the way we produce our games. And thanks to that, now we know exactly what we want to say, how we want to say it, and how we want to sound while we deliver these proper messages to the audience. So after defining the strategy, all the tactical decisions, they are much easier because you either contribute to your image positioning and what you want to say, or you don't. And this is especially useful when you work with a marketing agency, like we do, for example. So your strategy is their, guide to create the proper content for you. And as I mentioned earlier, now it's only the matter of applying our strategy to every channel we use on as many occasions as possible. So that is what you can expect from us in the nearest future.
A very exciting time, Oleg. And, we talked about the power of word of mouth earlier. And I remember last year at our Next Valletta conference, we host this prediction panel every year. And this is the most popular panel that we do at the show, together with Tim Heath and Robin Reed and Todd Halsall, three of the biggest thought leaders of the industry. And Robin was asked, what company do you admire in the industry the most at the moment, or what company do you believe the most in? And his reply was Playson. And this is kind of like that is the ultimate word of mouth endorsement that you can possibly get, of course. And we got a lot of comments for that afterwards. So it seems like you're certainly doing the right things here, Oleg.
Hopefully, yes.
As a final question for you here today, what are some brands, talking about admirable brands, what are some brands that you admire in the iGaming industry? Can you perhaps help some other company with their word of mouth strategies here? Is there anyone you admire the most?
Yeah. Okay, admire is a very strong word, but but if someone, would ask me to give a reference of a well-planned brand communication in, let's start with B2C sector. I would go for Paramatch, starting like maybe 2019 and up till 2023. And it's not because I've been working there. It's my honest opinion that it's a great example of a strong, distinctive, and energizing communication among all sports betting companies globally. So in many ways, their communication also resembles the overall corporate spirit and energy of the company, so that I can say from the inside. So it's also a good example, of being honest and genuine with the audience about who you are, and an example when people just love it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as for the B2B sector, the first good impression I got when I started researching our competitors was from Play and Go. This company invests much into brand building, and they have, vision, values, and principles that that are actually easy to find on their website and in their brand videos. But I think, one of the best parts is how they talk about their games and their production. It somehow resembles the way game companies like, Ubisoft or Electronic Arts market their big game titles. So you can also notice that when they post something on social media, they do remember that each post is a tool and opportunity to build your brand. So they try to include some brand attributes to make the post more meaningful and more interesting for the audience, so they can relate to it. Only like I can only say that good work to guys from Play and Go. Yeah, I think that's a good example. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, Magnus, Ebba, and Johan, the guys over at Play and Go, have done an incredible job, of course. They come from my rival town, actually, in Sweden, Play and Go, in Växjö. This is my town in Tingsryd. We are big rivals against Play and Go. So, it's with bittersweet taste. I hear that endorsement. But I love the guys at Play and Go as well. They are fantastic. And they are a good example also of that we talked about earlier. A brand that is really well known in Europe who are trying to establish themselves in the US, and it's just such a big work to get in there. And,
but it's also
to
very
make themselves known.
interesting, Yeah, it's very interesting to tap into new culture, into how people play, into how people think. Of course, it's very nice. And I remember from my like previous agency even days when we tried to help some other betting companies, to enter different markets like Brazil, like some other cultures, and it's very energizing, to learn about the culture and to make your brand adapted to this culture.
Absolutely. I certainly learned a lot in this episode myself, Oleg. So thank you so very much for donating your time here today. It's been a fascinating discussion, and I absolutely love these type of talks. So thank you so much, Oleg, and I wish you all the best.
Yep, wish you all the best too. Yeah, see you.